Alright guys, that is the end of the video. Remember, eating meat in an unnatural way is justified because it's natural, and hunting and killing animals in an unnatural way is justified because it's natural. Makes sense. Hey, what is going on guys? So I recently came across some leaked DMs from the conservative Candace Owens, and she actually addressed veganism in these DMs. So we're going to cover just how cringy her responses were, and I came across these DMs because of the work of George Martin from Carnism Debunked and at Malibu Vegan on Instagram. These DMs were gone over in a video by Soy Theist in which he exposes Candace Owens on possessing some of the woke views which she actively opposes from people on the left side of the political spectrum. So after watching this video, definitely go ahead and watch Soy Theist's video. He does a pretty good job of pointing out the hypocrisy of Candace Owens with respect to her views on wokeism. So before we get into the DMs, I just want to cover briefly how this all started. There was a video of Candace Owens that was released in which she talked about the fact that she does not go and visit zoos because morally she objects to them because she views zoos as a kind of jail for animals for our viewing pleasure.
Number 8, this is just a weird moral position. I don't go to zoos. I think of it as like a prison for animals. And I always think to myself, okay, imagine if an alien civilization had zoos and they just had different types of human beings, and on their alien planet, they're like, oh yeah, that's a Chinese one. Oh, that's an American one. And people just went around with their alien kids and just looked at human beings behind glass. And we would look so sad.
So George made a video trying to get her attention in an attempt to point out her hypocrisy, given she literally consumes animal products, which in some sense, especially in the factory farming context, which she obviously supports, can easily be viewed as prisons in which the prisoners are just eventually murdered for flesh. She ended up responding to George Martin and said something that vegans have never really heard before. She said, no, laughing emoji, I just don't think animals should be jailed for our viewing pleasure. I support hunting animals in the wild and eating them because it is entirely natural. So a couple things. She opposes animals being jailed and viewed for our viewing pleasure, but presumably doesn't have a problem with humans consuming animals for our taste pleasure. I say this because number 1, we don't need to eat animals to be healthy, and number 2, Candace has actually been seen eating In-N-Out Burger, which I'm sure she wasn't doing solely for her survival and therefore very likely for taste pleasure. So it is a little bit odd to actively oppose the jailing of animals for our viewing pleasure while still financially supporting the jailing and murder of animals for our taste pleasure. She then goes on to say that she fully supports hunting animals in the wild because it is natural. First off, hunting an animal in the wild with a gun is not natural, unless Candace Owens believes that guns are grown on gun trees. Secondly, Candace Owens eats meat from factory farms, which involve breeding animals through artificial insemination, which is obviously not natural. So she is claiming that hunting animals in the wild is justified because it is natural, while we know that hunting an animal with a rifle, which is the very likely way that she is supporting hunting animals, is not natural whatsoever. And we also know that she eats animals in one of the least natural ways possible. Does this mean that Candace Owens is implicitly admitting that she is an immoral person because she doesn't consume her meat from natural sources? I'm not really sure. Now, just for the sake of argument, let's just assume that the hunting of animals with a rifle is actually a very natural thing, and that eating meat from In-N-Out Burger is also a very natural thing. Let's just grant those premises fully. Do I really need to cover to somebody like Candace Owens, who prides herself on being so intelligent, why appealing to nature in an ethical debate is problematic? In other words, the appeal to nature fallacy. Let's keep this somewhat quick because this is probably the millionth time in the last 4 days that I've had to address the stupidity that is the appeal to nature fallacy to meat eaters online trying to fight against veganism. Calling something good because it is natural is pretty dumb considering how horrific some things are that are natural. For example, killing, rape, hurricanes, tornadoes, and disease. This is why claiming that something is good because it is natural is incredibly silly. Unless Candace Owens accepts all things natural as good, it doesn't make much sense for her to appeal to nature in trying to defend the consumption of animals, and of course, by the way, in a way that isn't even natural, like hunting an animal with an unnatural weapon or eating animals from In-N-Out Burger. So here's another DM she sent to, I believe, Malibu Vegan. Animals abuse other animals by hunting them. This is such a first world debate. Of course, hunting is natural. Eating meat is natural. I am just so genuinely not interested in this idea that human beings are not meant to eat meat. You could sooner convince me we're not supposed to drink water or breathe air. I love meat. I eat meat. I support hunting, not poaching. The biggest animal conservationists in the world are all hunters, and vegans kill an irresponsible amount of animals because they are so deeply uneducated about the wild. Feelings are not facts. All right, so Soy Theist covers the first part of her comment about the vegan debate being such a first world debate. So again, after this video, go ahead and watch his. She then restates her very intelligent position on hunting being natural and eating meat being natural. I'm not going to address that again for the sake of my psychological health. She then goes on to say that I am just so not genuinely interested in the idea that human beings are not meant to eat meat. Now, whether or not it is the case that human beings are meant to eat meat is completely irrelevant to the ethical question of should humans eat meat. Humans could be evolved to do something, but that shouldn't tell us that it's therefore ethical. If human beings evolved to commit atrocity X, you could put anything there, killing, rape, etc. Does that mean that atrocity X is now therefore moral? Of course not. This is just more reason why appealing to nature in an ethics debate is completely dumb as f. She then goes on to say that she loves meat. Obviously, if you love doing something that involves a victim, that doesn't justify the actual action that involves a victim. She then says she eats meat. Obviously, stating that you do something that involves a victim doesn't justify doing it. Imagine a serial killer being like, oh, I killed the person. Congratulations, bro. That doesn't mean that it's moral, right? She says that she supports hunting, not poaching. Terrific. Already covered that. And then she went on to basically say crop deaths though / vegans kill a lot of animals too though. I have a full video dedicated to this anti-vegan talking point. I will link it below because I don't feel like going over it for the millionth time. Plus it is very dense. All right, guys, that is the end of the video. Remember, eating meat in an unnatural way is justified because it's natural, and hunting and killing animals in an unnatural way is justified because it's natural. Makes sense. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you support my work and want to support me on Patreon and get early access to my videos, you can click the link below and sign up for no more than $1 per month. Most of that money does end up going to my therapy bills and, PTSD kind of therapy I have to pay for because of having to cover nonsense like this on the internet. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Dude, even vegans don't get your weird, stupid wannabe sense of irony here. Who is your audience? Nobody gets these dumb jokes. Dude, even vegans don't get your weird,